Today, we'll take you to a small town called Whispering Pines, Georgia, where a mysterious and tragic story has shaken the entire town under a gloomy sky. The sudden death of Mirabelle Dawson, a captivating yet lonely woman, left many in shock. She had been drawn into a dangerous love affair with Clay Donovan, a young man 32 years her junior. This passionate, forbidden relationship ended in tragedy. But more than that, Mirabelle's death left behind a series of unanswered questions, for before arriving here, she had left New York amid a scandal that rocked the city. So what really happened? Let's dive into this mystery. Mirabelle, 55 years old, was once a renowned creative director in the advertising industry. After her marriage fell apart, she moved to Whispering Pines in search of peace, only to quickly realize that the glamour and admiration she found there couldn't fill the deep loneliness inside her, though. She captured the attention of everyone at social events. Deep down, she carried a heart scarred by unhealed wounds. Lavish charity parties couldn't fill the void left by a failed marriage with her wealthy but emotionally distant lawyer husband. At a tense community event, Clay Donovan, the son of her neighbor Margaret Donovan, was accused of theft, and Mirabelle unexpectedly stood up to defend him. From that moment, they quickly bonded, forming an intoxicating relationship. Clay brought Mirabelle the intense emotions she had long been missing, while to Clay, Mirabelle was the only person who made him feel valued. In the weeks leading up to the tragedy, Mirabelle continued attending parties and charity events, but inside, she was torn over her relationship with Clay. The pressure from society and their age difference left her exhausted and anxious. She received anonymous letters warning her that she would pay a heavy price if she continued the relationship. The decision to end things with Clay began to take shape, and she grew more and more fearful for her future. One evening in April, just days before the tragedy, Mirabelle received a mysterious phone call while at her usual cafe. She tried to appear cheerful with her friends, but deep down, she knew the final conversation with Clay was imminent, and it could change everything. Little did she know that decision would lead to a tragic outcome no one could have foreseen. Mirabelle Dawson, a friendly and gentle woman, was always known for her warm smile and kindness, always ready to lend a helping hand. But few knew that deep in her heart, she longed for a true love that her current life couldn't provide. This longing led her into a risky affair with the young and vibrant Clay Donovan. Their relationship was like a slow-burning fire of passion that Mirabelle couldn't resist. Clay brought her a sense of freshness and care that she had been missing for a long time. In her private journal, Mirabelle wrote about the excitement mixed with the heavy guilt, a love she knew couldn't last forever. On the morning of May 12th, 2021, around 7:30 a.m., Jasper Warren, her close friend and neighbor, stopped by after his night shift at the hospital, as usual, to enjoy a morning coffee together. When he opened the door, Jasper was stunned to find Mirabelle's lifeless body lying on the floor, with furniture in disarray and bloodstains scattered beneath her trembling. Jasper called 911, but was suddenly startled by a faint noise from the back of the house, hesitating, too scared to check. On Mirabelle's abdomen, the words, "Forever yours, C," were carved deep into her skin, causing Jasper to collapse onto the floor, hands limp, his eyes filled with tears. When the police arrived, he could only repeat in despair, "She's gone, she's gone." Jasper happened to notice an old phone smashed under the couch, but he didn't mention it to the police right away. This added another layer of mystery for the police to investigate. Officer Aveline Cooper was the first to arrive on the scene after the emergency call. Stunned by the bloody sight, she quickly regained her composure. Aveline guided Jasper out of the living room, secured the area, and reported the situation to her colleagues, while also calling in the forensics team for assistance. Jasper, in a state of deep shock, mumbled incoherently. Unable to provide any additional information, Aveline focused on preserving the crime scene, ensuring that all evidence remained intact for the investigation. Mirabel's body was taken to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy, while Aveline carefully documented every possible detail that might serve as a clue. News of the murder spread quickly, throwing Whispering Pines, a town once peaceful, into chaos. Residents flocked to Mirabel's mansion, bewildered and curious about the horrific event that had shaken their small community. When the forensics team arrived at the scene, Detective Ivan Barrett, along with Officer Aveline Cooper, began a detailed investigation. Barrett, known for his meticulous and cautious approach, quickly directed his team to gather evidence. The forensics team used UV lights to detect tiny blood splatters on the walls and 3D scanners to recreate the exact locations of bloodstains and signs of a struggle in the living room. The blood traces were carefully analyzed, helping them determine the direction and force of each stab, piecing together the sequence of the attack. To ensure accuracy, Barrett and Aveline ordered DNA samples to be collected from nearby objects, including a broken glass and the door handle. These samples would be entered into the gene analysis system to identify who had come into contact with them. On Mirabel's clothing, they found unusual fibers that could be linked to the suspect. Barrett noticed a surprising detail. The lipstick mark on a different glass didn't match the color Mirabel usually wore, suggesting someone else might have been present at the crime scene when the murder occurred. The investigation into the words carved on Mirabel's abdomen, "Forever yours, C," revealed that it was a personal message from the killer. This suggested the crime could have been driven by passion or personal hatred. There were no signs of forced entry, leading the detectives to believe that Mirabel knew her attacker. The focus now shifted to those close to her, complicating the investigation further. Jasper Warren, the person who discovered the body, was brought in for questioning. His eyes were vacant, his face pale, and Jasper remained in a state of shock. Barrett's rapid-fire questions left him flustered, his voice shaky and incoherent. Sensing Jasper's tension, Barrett adjusted his approach, speaking in a softer tone as he asked about the night shift at the hospital and his relationship with Mirabel. When Jasper mentioned seeing a mysterious figure lurking around Mirabel's house in the nights leading up to her death, Barrett began to suspect there might be another person involved besides Clay. After verifying Jasper's alibi at the hospital, the police shifted their suspicion toward Clay Donovan. However, with the new details from Jasper, Barrett began to wonder if everyone was being misled by seemingly obvious but possibly fabricated clues. Mirabel's journal, which documented her secret relationship with Clay, quickly turned him into the prime suspect. The forensic team continued to search for evidence at the scene and discovered a partially burned journal in the fireplace. This journal not only hinted at the possibility of a mysterious motive behind the murder, but also contained pages detailing a threat Mirabel had felt from an unknown individual. The police canvassed the surrounding area, interviewing neighbors and looking for witnesses. Some reported hearing loud noises the night before, while others expressed only their sorrow and shock at Mirabel's death, as she was an active member of the community. Local news stations quickly picked up the story, causing the entire town to be engulfed in fear and curiosity. Detective Barrett knew they needed to solve the case quickly to restore peace to the community and bring justice for Mirabel Dawson. The first person the police investigated thoroughly was Jasper Warren, Mirabel's closest friend. At 58, Jasper was a well-known doctor, respected by the community for his seriousness and dedication. Despite his demanding work hours at the hospital, Jasper maintained a close friendship with Mirabel, whom he had known for many years. However, Barrett noticed a small inconsistency in Jasper's statement about what he had done the night before, a minor but noteworthy detail. Though Jasper had no history of violence and was always considered a reliable person, the fact that he was the one who discovered Mirabelle's body made him a focal point of the investigation. Upon discovering the body on July 4th, the morning of May 12, 2021, Jasper had fallen into a state of shock, frantically calling 911 in panic. Detective Barrett and Officer Aveline Cooper realized they needed to interrogate Jasper carefully to uncover the truth. In the interrogation room, Jasper looked exhausted, his face pale and eyes dark from lack of sleep. Barrett began by asking about Jasper's night shift at the hospital and his relationship with Mirabelle. Jasper candidly described their close friendship and denied having any motive to harm her. He expressed deep sorrow when speaking of Mirabelle's death, insisting that he had been working at the hospital the entire night. Details from the hospital and testimony from colleagues confirmed Jasper's solid alibi, forcing the police to redirect their suspicions towards someone else. However, despite Jasper's cooperation and his alibi, Barrett and his team couldn't fully rule him out as a suspect. The brutality of the crime made it difficult to dismiss the possibility of a personal motive, and as Mirabelle's closest friend, Jasper remained under suspicion. Meanwhile, Barrett noticed a small inconsistency. One witness claimed to have seen Jasper near Mirabelle's house that night, but the timing didn't match his work schedule at the hospital. This left Barrett questioning Jasper's true involvement. The next person to be interrogated was Clay Donovan, the 23-year-old son of Mirabelle's neighbor. Recently graduated from college and about to embark on a career in engineering, Clay was well liked for his good looks and charming personality. However, his secret relationship with Mirabelle had been exposed, making him a prime suspect in the investigation. Detective Barrett and Officer Aveline Cooper summoned Clay Donovan to the station for questioning. When he arrived, Clay appeared nervous, his hands fidgeting, and his gaze distracted and unsteady, further fueling the police's suspicions about his involvement. Barrett began with questions about Clay's relationship with Mirabelle. Seeking to clarify his role in the incident, Clay grew increasingly tense as Barrett asked about the nights he had spent with Mirabelle, especially when the detective brought up the partially burned journal found in the fireplace. Clay, in a trembling voice, denied any involvement in Mirabelle's death and emphasized that their relationship was entirely consensual. However, the anxiety on his face became apparent when questioned about the inconsistencies in his statements and why someone had seen him at Mirabelle's house the night she died, deepening the police's suspicions about his role in the case. Clay struggled to remain calm, but couldn't hide his tension when asked about his relationship with Mirabelle. Barrett continued to press for details about the evening before Mirabelle was killed. Searching for cracks in Clay's story, Clay admitted to the relationship and professed his intense love for Mirabelle, but he couldn't provide a clear explanation for the doubts surrounding his alibi. When asked about his whereabouts on the night of May 11th, Clay claimed he had been at home playing video games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. However, since he was alone, he had no one to verify this story, increasing the police's skepticism. Barrett kept a close eye on Clay's subtle expressions, noticing that he frequently glanced toward the interrogation room door as if waiting for someone or worried about something else. Clay's behavior during the interrogation was erratic. At times he was calm, but he would occasionally burst into anger and defensiveness. When the detectives probed deeper into his relationship with Mirabelle, Clay insisted that he would never harm her, stating that their relationship, while intense, was not violent. Yet, Clay's anxiety and inconsistent demeanor only heightened the detectives' suspicions. They decided to obtain a search warrant for his home. The search uncovered several love letters from Mirabelle and some intimate photographs, further solidifying their relationship, but there was no direct evidence linking Clay to the murder. However, a small wooden box in Clay's bedroom caught the detectives' attention. Inside was a collection of small personal items that had clearly once belonged to Mirabelle. an indication of Clay's obsession, but still not enough to charge him. Neighbors of Clay reported that he had been acting unusually after Mirabel's death. Some remarked that he had become agitated and anxious, while others noticed that he had grown more isolated than usual. Although the police took note of these observations, they still needed more concrete evidence to arrest Clay. The Whispering Pines community was shocked by the revelation of this controversial affair. The once charming young man was now shrouded in suspicion. Detective Barrett understood that to uncover the truth, they needed to dig deeper into Clay's past and his relationship with Mirabel. Although the relationship provided a potential motive, the police needed more evidence to charge him. The investigation continued with persistence and caution. The next suspect the police focused on was Odessa Lark, Mirabel Dawson's neighbor and best friend. At 54, Odessa was a lively, energetic housewife, passionate about organizing community events and singing in the church choir. She and Mirabel shared almost everything in life, from daily stories to personal secrets. However, recently, Odessa had noticed a change in Mirabel's behavior, leading her to worry that something was threatening their friendship. She was completely unaware of Mirabel and Clay Donovan's secret relationship. When summoned to the police station, Odessa appeared anxious but quickly confirmed her close relationship with Mirabel, while also insisting that she knew nothing about the secret affair. She admitted that she had noticed a change in Mirabel's attitude and behavior recently, but her testimony did not provide any new significant information. Barrett observed that Odessa seemed to be holding something back, but he couldn't be certain. Odessa stated that on the night of May 11th, she had been at home preparing for a large church event. She described in detail the tasks she had been working on, such as making decorations and organizing a volunteer list, and these details could be corroborated by other church members. Odessa's alibi seemed solid, but Barrett still decided to dig deeper. When asked if she knew anything about the relationship between Mirabel and Clay, Odessa appeared shocked and emotional, firmly stating that she had no knowledge of it and would never support such a relationship. Barrett realized that while Odessa seemed to be honest, her reaction was too intense, causing him to wonder if she knew more than she was letting on. As she left the interrogation room, Odessa unexpectedly received a message from an unknown number, reading, "Stay silent if you don't want trouble." This raised new suspicions in Barrett's mind about Odessa's true role in the case. Odessa's reaction appeared very sincere, and the detectives could clearly see the distress in her words and actions. When asked if there was any reason she might want to harm Mirabel, Odessa vehemently denied it, insisting that her feelings for Mirabel were like that of a sister, and she would never hurt her dear friend. Tears streamed down her face as Odessa repeatedly declared her innocence in Mirabel's death. To verify her alibi, the detectives interviewed other members of the church choir, all of whom confirmed that Odessa had been at the church on the night of May 11th, busy preparing for a major event. Neighbors also stated they had seen Odessa at home around that time, making her testimony even more credible. However, Barrett still sensed that while Odessa's alibi seemed solid, something in her reactions didn't fully convince him, as if she were hiding something else. They conducted a search of Odessa's house, hoping to find any evidence that might link her to the crime, but found no direct connection between her and Mirabel's death. However, during the search, Barrett stumbled upon a small note that had fallen behind Odessa's bedroom mirror. The note, pieced together from cut-out letters from various newspapers, read, "Knowing too much can be dangerous." This detail further fueled Barrett's suspicions, but it still wasn't enough to charge her. Meanwhile, the town of Whispering Pines fell into a state of unease as local news stations reported on Odessa's interrogation, casting doubt on one of the community's most trusted figures. Detective Barrett and Officer Cooper understood that they needed to continue investigating from every angle to uncover the truth behind this brutal murder. On the morning of May 18th, 2021, the investigation took an unexpected turn. Detective Barrett received a call from Leah Johnson, a local resident. While walking her dog, Leah had discovered a small leather-bound journal partially buried under a bush in the park. Suspecting that the journal might be linked to the murder case, Leah immediately reported it to the police. Detective Barrett and Officer Cooper quickly arrived at the park, carefully retrieving the journal and taking it back to the station for examination. Although part of the journal had been burned, it still revealed faint, legible writings about Mirabelle's affair with Clay Donovan and her deeply personal thoughts about her life, her failed marriage, and the loneliness she couldn't escape. This discovery opened up a new, promising direction in the investigation, helping the detectives gain insight into the true motives behind Mirabelle's death. Mirabelle's journal pages became a crucial key to the case as they revealed unexpected secrets. In her scribbled words, Mirabelle expressed her exhaustion and the pressure surrounding her relationship with Clay Donovan, the much younger man she had decided to end the tempting affair, not just because of the gossip, but also because of the overwhelming guilt. She wanted to return to a peaceful life after her divorce, seeking serenity in the quiet streets of Whispering Pines. The journal entries continued to reveal changes in Clay's behavior. He became restless and irritable, frequently calling and demanding to see Mirabelle at unreasonable hours. Clay's obsession stemmed from his fear of losing the one person he felt truly mattered to him. To Clay, Mirabelle was not just a forbidden love, but also his only emotional anchor. Each time Mirabelle tried to distance herself, Clay's fear of abandonment worsened, leading to increasingly extreme actions. In her journal, Mirabelle wrote about Clay watching her from the bedroom window, secretly observing her whenever she went for walks or worked in the garden. He forced her to meet him every day, even showing up unexpectedly at her door, demanding her attention, regardless of the time of day or night. However, there was one strange detail. A journal entry mentioned that Mirabelle saw an unfamiliar figure lurking outside her window the night before she was killed, leaving her feeling afraid. This opened up the possibility that someone else had been watching both Mirabelle and Clay. The final entry, dated May 10th, 2021, read, "I need to end this, to face the truth." These words raised deep suspicions for Detective Ivan Barrett. The journal did more than describe a forbidden affair. It revealed the threat and obsession behind it. It seemed that Mirabelle had decided to end her troubled relationship with Clay, and this might have triggered a negative reaction from him. After reading the final entries, Detective Barrett decided to summon Clay Donovan for another interrogation. Clay arrived at the police station looking exhausted, trying to stay calm, but his expression grew tense when faced with the journal's entries. At first, Clay denied everything, insisting that the relationship with Mirabelle was consensual and that he only wanted to protect her from the town's gossip. However, Clay's eyes became vacant, staring into the distance. After a moment, he sighed, his voice heavy with sadness. "Since I was a child, I never had my parents' attention. They were always busy and never paid any attention to me. I never had anyone to lean on, anyone I truly trusted, until I met Mirabelle. She was the first person to make me feel like I mattered, that I wasn't just some useless kid. I couldn't bear the thought of her leaving me. Without Mirabelle, I have nothing." Clay's words revealed a deep vulnerability and desperation, uncovering an unhealthy love and uncontrollable obsession. When Detective Barrett pressed him on the final entries in Mirabelle's journal, Clay's calm demeanor crumbled, his eyes became wild, and his hands trembled. "I loved her," Clay whispered, his voice filled with emotion. "But she wanted to end it. I couldn't accept that she was everything. I couldn't let her go. Not like this." Tears streamed down Clay's face as he admitted that Mirabel's rejection had driven him into a state of uncontrollable rage. The feeling of abandonment clouded his ability to think clearly, and everything seemed to collapse around him. He felt that life was no longer worth living without Mirabel, the only person who had ever given meaning to his life. Gradually, Clay felt everything falling apart: his career, his love, and the only hope he had clung to for so long. Detective Barrett, noticing the disturbing nature of Clay's words and behavior, decided to request a psychological evaluation. The results suggested that Clay might be suffering from obsessive personality disorder, a condition that had gone undiagnosed, possibly leading to his extreme actions. This discovery opened up a new path in the investigation, revealing that this wasn't just a story of forbidden love, but one of a troubled mind spiraling into tragedy. The community of Whispering Pines was engulfed in anxiety and confusion following the death of Mirabel Dawson. Pressure weighed heavily on the police, especially on Detective Barrett and his team, compelling them to uncover the truth behind this mysterious death. Piece by piece, the puzzle of the case began to take shape, and Barrett knew they were getting closer to unraveling this disturbing story. On May 25th, 2021, Barrett and his colleagues decided it was time to take action. Mirabel's journal entries and the evidence collected had painted a clearer picture of the complex relationships surrounding the victim. All clues seemed to point to one person: Clay Donovan, the young man with a handsome exterior but a deeply troubled soul. However, Barrett sensed that something still didn't quite add up. How could someone like Clay have executed such a sophisticated murder plan, especially when he appeared unable to control his emotions? Barrett decided to review the clues once more, checking to see if anyone else might have been involved in the crime. Clay, 23 years old, was a recent graduate and once regarded as a promising athletic talent. However, the investigation revealed another side of Clay, an intense, passionate love that had turned into an obsession with Mirabel. When she tried to end the relationship, Clay lost control. The erratic changes in his mood and his increasingly dangerous behavior convinced Detective Barrett that Clay was hiding something. On the night of May 11th, Clay went to Mirabel's house, knowing she would be alone. Mirabel, intending to end the relationship peacefully, agreed to let Clay inside. However, when he realized she truly wanted to break things off, Clay lost control. A heated argument broke out, and in a fit of rage, Clay pulled out a gun he had been carrying during their secret meetings. Mirabel was shot, and in his uncontrollable fury, Clay stabbed her repeatedly. Before leaving, in one final, haunting act, Clay carved the words, "Forever yours, C," into Mirabel's body, declaring that his love, though twisted, would never end. Yet Barrett still felt something was off. The brutality and calculated nature of the murder seemed at odds with Clay's apparent emotional instability that the police had observed. The case ended in a heartbreaking conclusion, not only because of the loss of Mirabel, but also because of the shattered life of Clay. A mind haunted and disturbed, pushed to the brink of despair. Their story became a cautionary tale of the tragic consequences that blind passion and a troubled mind can bring. On the morning of May 26, 2021, around 10 a.m., the police arrived at the Donovan family's rustic house to carry out the arrest warrant for Clay Donovan Leading the team, Detective Ivan Barrett, his face cold and seasoned with years of experience, approached the front door. As officers knocked, Clay's mother, Margaret Donovan, opened the door, trembling as she faced the waiting crowd of officers. Realizing the situation, Clay attempted to escape through the back door, but was quickly subdued. Clay's reaction during his arrest was a mix of shock and resignation. He didn't resist, but seemed confused, fully aware that his actions had been exposed. Clay was handcuffed and escorted back to the police station. Throughout the ride, he sat silently, his eyes vacant, as if lost in thoughts no one could guess. However, every so often, his gaze would flicker toward the window, as if searching for something outside. News of the arrest spread quickly throughout Whispering Pines. Local media reported on it, throwing the once peaceful community into turmoil. Those who had known Clay as a gentle and promising young man couldn't believe he was involved in a murder case. Mirabelle Dawson's family, though heartbroken, felt relieved that the prime suspect had been caught. They thanked the police for their tireless efforts, though their hearts were still filled with grief and sorrow. However, Barrett couldn't shake the feeling that everything was unfolding too easily. One small but significant detail: a neighbor had mentioned seeing a strange car parked near Mirabelle's house the night she was killed, and that description matched a vehicle Barrett had glimpsed through the window during Clay's transport. Was someone else watching and possibly hiding something? Barrett decided not to rule out any possibilities. There were still many mysteries left to solve. At the police station, Clay was charged with first-degree murder. During interrogation, he confessed to the crime, recounting the details of a passionate affair that had turned into an obsession. He admitted that when Mirabelle tried to break up with him, his anger and frustration pushed him into a state of uncontrollable rage, leading to the murder. However, Barrett remained suspicious of how simple Clay's confession seemed. How could someone so out of control carry out such a calculated act? The arrest of Clay Donovan brought a partial sense of closure to the Whispering Pines community, but the pain of losing Mirabelle lingered. Clay Donovan's trial took place in July 2021, drawing the attention of the entire Whispering Pines community. Vivian Carter, a prosecutor known for her tough stance, described Clay's pathological obsession with Mirabelle and how this possessiveness led to his criminal actions. Evidence, such as DNA and Mirabelle's journal, painted a clear picture of Clay killing Mirabelle in a fit of rage after she tried to end their relationship. Defense attorney Richard Blake argued that Clay suffered from an undiagnosed personality disorder, pleading with the jury for leniency due to his youth and psychological instability. However, Blake also pointed out that there was no evidence proving Clay was capable of orchestrating such a complex crime, raising the question of whether someone else could have been involved or influenced his actions. After weeks of hearings, the jury found Clay Donovan guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Mirabelle's family and friends, though relieved that justice had been served, still faced an irreplaceable loss. After the trial, Whispering Pines was divided by mixed emotions. The death of Mirabelle Dawson left a deep scar on everyone's hearts. Her family and friends, especially Jasper Warren, tried to move forward, cherishing the beautiful memories they had of her. The town held memorial services at the church to honor Mirabelle's life, but the pain of her loss remained present in every prayer. However, on a morning in August, when things seemed to have settled, an anonymous letter was sent to the police station with the message, "Clay didn't act alone. There's someone else." This letter reignited the doubts in Barrett's mind, and he decided not to close the case, but to continue investigating to uncover the full truth. Elsewhere, Margaret Donovan, Clay's mother, was also facing her own struggles. As the mother of the one who committed the crime, and at the same time a neighbor of Mirabel, Margaret was torn between her love for her son and the pain of losing a close friend. She gradually withdrew from social and church activities, appearing less frequently than before. The whispers and pitying glances from her neighbors only deepened her isolation. Margaret quietly wrote letters and occasionally visited Clay in prison, bringing words of encouragement, hoping that her son could find peace. Clay, now held in a central prison, gradually adapted to life behind bars. He received psychological counseling and medication to manage his condition during his sentence. While he expressed regret for his actions, Clay fully understood the severity of the crime and the heavy toll it had taken on Mirabel's family and the Whispering Pines community. However, he also began to notice gaps in what had occurred, things that didn't align with his own memories. A creeping sense of unease settled in his mind, making it hard for him to fully accept everything as it had unfolded. The tragic events of the summer of 2021 left an indelible mark. But thanks to unity and resilience, Whispering Pines continued to be a close-knit town where neighbors supported each other through life's challenges. Yet, a lingering feeling of unease hovered in the air, as though a new chapter of the story was about to begin, with another secret waiting to be revealed. Our story today ends here. What do you think about this case? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button and share it, so we can be motivated to create more videos in the future. Thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you next time.